Tonight, we discuss creating a compelling atmosphere for our horror game, and why you should be very afraid.
Twisted Genius presents Developing in the Dark with False Prophet.
Hello and welcome to Developing in the Dark. I am your host, and game developer, and sinister mastermind, False Prophet. I know, right? Where does he get the time? Anyway, we are here this evening for one reason only, actually, to create a truly excellent horror game. Now, Twisted Genius is an indie development team, and there's actually two of us. I'm Overlord of Creativity, which means that I'm responsible for creative design. There's another guy, he's Overlord of Logic. He's responsible for things like programming. I don't really know how that works or what it's supposed to do exactly, but I'm told that it's also essential for video game development, so I just, play along with it. But we're not going to let that bother us, because we are here to discuss creative design, and specifically designing a compelling atmosphere for our horror game that we're working on currently. Now, as any good horror enthusiast knows, and I know everyone out there is definitely into this genre, because, why are you watching this if you're not? This is a very important element of any horror, not just game, but film, even book, setting the scene, the tone, making things eerie. It's an important part of the build-up, the tension before the scare. Having an atmosphere is crucial to the genre. So what I've been up to lately is trying to do some concept art which will capture that sort of eerie, atmospheric feel that we need for this game. Basically, I've been doing environmental concept art. Now, it's important to understand the setting that this game occurs in, because obviously that's going to dictate what the art should be, and ultimately what everything in the game should be, because the setting does kind of matter at this stage. So, to let you in on that, this is a temple. The setting is an ancient temple. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't that more of an adventure genre sort of thing? Normally, yes, but we're going to see if we can make it a little scarier. Temples can be ancient ruins, can be very frightening places anyway. They're eerie, they're kind of dark, traps, other things can occur there. And hopefully we can make it even more frightening. And so, this is what I've been doing. I've been creating, trying to come up with a good look, a distinctive look for this game that will use that setting, but also make it eerie and still not so dark that you can't see anything, because being able to navigate is important. So I began with a few different concept art illustrations, just basic 2D stuff to get a feel for what I was going for here and what this game should look like. I got some feedback from several people about this, and here's a hint. When everyone gives you the same feedback, that's pretty good there. That's a good indication that you should probably listen to them. And in this case, the feedback was that they're a little bit flat. They need to be more interesting. So it's obvious that that's a direction I need to go for. They need to be more creepy, more sinister if this is going to be an effective horror game. And I agreed. So now I've begun doing 3D concepts for this game. And you may be wondering, well, okay, why don't you just start on the actual model? Well, this game is actually going to be procedurally generated. So doing the actual model doesn't really work because the computer is actually going to be doing that for us, or the program. What I need to do is have a way of communicating that to my programmer to say, hey, this is exactly what we need this to look like, or in general, actually, what we need this to look like. Because we need to set up some rules so that when the environments are procedurally generated, the art looks correctly. The lights need to act like this. The structure should be in general here, but it should also be able to change shape and do various different things. So that's what I've been doing lately, and trying to come up with just kind of a good general feel, literally trying to define the atmosphere of what this game should be. Now you'll notice some of these images aren't really very flushed out. They don't have a lot of props or even textures or other things. They're very basic. And there's a reason for this, because it's a very basic model. Obviously, I'm going to put some more stuff in, but for right now, we're just trying to get a feel for the lighting, the general space, the proportions, how this will all look. Now, of course, there needs to be some other work done with this, but I feel like we're on the right track. I'm kind of slowly getting an idea of what this game should look like, and it'll probably take a little longer to actually pin that down exactly, but I think some of these concept art illustrations, images that I just showed you, should give you some idea of the direction we're heading there. There's a little bit of Frank Lloyd Wright influence, a little bit of classic ancient temple there. It's kind of, it's eclectic and hopefully a little bit interesting too. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think, or if you think there's something I should do, or something else that you would like to see in this kind of game. Now, I also want to discuss what this game actually is, because if you notice, the setting, the way the structure is set up there is kind of odd and multi-tiered and interesting. There's a reason for that. This is a multiplayer puzzle platforming horror game. I know, right? Oh, and it's procedurally generated too, as I just said. Now you may be saying, well, wait a second, is that a thing? Actually, from what I can tell, it's not really a thing currently. I'm not sure that there are any other games that are multiplayer puzzle platforming horror games. So that's what we're going for. I think this will be very interesting. And in future episodes, I'm also going to talk a lot more about the game design, what the gameplay will consist of, what the playable characters are, the enemies, and lots of other cool stuff there. We do have documentation for all of this. We are not just making this up as we go along. We were doing that a couple of weeks ago, but now we kind of have a lot of stuff settled, so I'm feeling pretty confident about that. But I would definitely like to know what you think about all of this. Would you like to play a game like this? Or what would it take for you to want to play a game like this? Hopefully it can be something very special, very compelling, and very scary. Or maybe not very scary, but scary enough. We don't want too scary. Or do we? Thank you very much for following along with us on this little misadventure to create the next great horror game. And if you'd like to play something now, we have another game out currently. It's on Steam called Twisties Asylum Escapades. I'll leave you a link down there in the comments section where you can check that out. And if you did enjoy this video that I made for you, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. That would really help out a lot. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Stay evil, and good night. Atmosphere.